Someone is keeping a diary of your life, and they're always one day ahead. You've dreamed of places you've never been, only to see them later in photographs. A stranger recognized you, but refused to say from where. The silence after you stopped speaking wasn't empty, it was listening. You found your handwriting in a letter you never wrote. Someone called your name from beneath the floorboards. A stranger knew your secret without ever meeting you. The forest grew silent when you stepped inside. Someone whispered your thoughts back to you. The wind carried a voice that sounded exactly like yours. You dreamed of drowning and woke up with damp sheets. A door you've never touched had your fingerprints on it. Someone spoke the words you were about to say. The stars blinked twice when you asked a question. You felt a hand rest on your shoulder, but no one was there. Someone laughed with your voice in the dark. The photograph aged, but you didn't. A stranger told you, "You're late." The ground trembled when you stepped forward. Your reflection mouthed words you didn't speak. A clock you've never owned ticks in your ear. Someone sighed in relief when you opened your eyes. You've been seen in places you've never traveled. The shadows stretched differently when you looked away. A stranger greeted you with, "Welcome back." Someone dreamed of your death, but you're still alive. The candle you blew out flickered back to life. A child drew your face in exact detail without knowing you. The silence grew heavier the longer you listened. Someone knocked on the door, but the sound came from your chest. You once woke twice in the same day, though you remember only once. The forest paths bent toward you as you walked. Someone whispered, "Not yet," in the dark. A stranger swore they saw you yesterday, but you weren't there. The air thickened when you nearly remembered something. Your laughter echoed back with words you didn't say. A shadow moved through you colder than air. Someone cried your tears while you slept. The night sky blinked in rhythm with your heartbeat. You woke up standing in a place you didn't fall asleep. A door appeared where there wasn't one yesterday. Someone traced your name into fogged glass you never touched. The stars above tonight are not the ones from yesterday. Your voice answered when you called out. The photograph tilted back after you fixed it. Someone is counting your breaths. You've forgotten something the world still remembers. The silence bent closer when you ignored it. Someone has been whispering your story in the dark. A knock echoed from under your bed. The walls leaned closer when you whispered. Someone touched your hair in the dark. The reflection blinked before you did. You've passed yourself in a dream. Someone has been sketching your face every night. The ground echoed footsteps that weren't yours. You felt watched, and something blinked. Someone called your name from the shadows. The forest rearranged itself behind you. A voice whispered, "Don't open it." The moon flickered like a candle. Someone sighed with your heartbeat. Your shadow leaned forward ahead of you. A stranger said, "We meet again." Someone wrote your story in another book. The stars spelled out words only you could read. You found your name carved into an old tree you never touched. Someone whispered, "Finally, you're listening." The silence between heartbeats wasn't empty. You've stood in the same place centuries apart. A stranger described your dream in detail. The photograph smiled when you weren't looking. Someone whispered, "Not this time." The candle's smoke formed your face. Your shadow walked faster than you did. Someone waited for you on the other side of the mirror. The stars aligned in a pattern that vanished when you blinked. A stranger finished your sentence before you spoke it. Someone whispered your name inside your thoughts. The ground shifted when you looked away. You woke up with soil beneath your nails. Someone laughed behind you, using your voice. The silence leaned closer when you listened. You've already lived this moment once before. Someone sighed in relief when you stopped speaking. A reflection stayed long after you moved. Someone is still keeping count of your forgotten dreams. The stars brightened the moment you asked. You saw your face in a stranger's eyes. A knock came from the mirror. Someone whispered, "This isn't the first time." The night pressed in when you closed your eyes. Your name was written into the shadows. Someone moved through your reflection. The forest held its breath when you entered. A stranger waved from yesterday. Someone whispered, "Don't look back." The silence answered when you called. A door slammed shut, though no wind blew. Your shadow lingered after you turned on the light. Someone is waiting for you in your dreams. You woke up remembering a memory that isn't yours. The candle burned lower, then grew tall again. Someone sighed at last. The stars fell into place, spelling a warning. Your reflection smirked when you weren't. A stranger recognized your handwriting. Someone whispered, "Don't wake up." The photograph moved when you looked away. You once laughed at a joke no one told. Someone whispered your full name in the dark. The wind carried your own voice back to you. You've been homesick for a life that doesn't exist. Someone is watching from behind your eyes. The night grew heavier as you listened. A stranger said, "It's almost time." Someone dreamed of you last night, and you felt it. The shadows whispered when the lights went out. You've been spoken of in whispers tonight. Someone sighed when you entered the room. The stars blinked back an answer you didn't want. A stranger mouthed your name without speaking. Someone laughed when you turned the page. Your reflection looked older for a moment. Someone whispered, "You're late again." The silence thickened when you tried to speak. A stranger described your nightmare perfectly. Someone knocked once from the inside of your chest. The stars dimmed the moment you stopped looking. And when you finish these words, you'll wonder if this is the first time you've read them, or the 100th. Someone burned a letter with your name on it. Yet the smoke spelled it out again. The mirror cracked last night, but only on the side where your reflection stood. A stranger spoke your full name in their sleep, and they've never even heard of you. You heard a knock at the door, but it echoed from inside the walls. Someone whispered your childhood nickname in an empty room. The candle flame bent toward you as if it recognized your breath. Your name appeared on a page of a book you've never read. A child you don't know pointed at you and said, "That's them." The photograph on your shelf changed, and now someone else is standing beside you. You saw your reflection smile long after you'd stopped. A voice whispered, finally, the moment you woke up. The clock struck 13, then reset itself. You found soil on your shoes this morning, though you never left the house. A shadow lingered in the corner, even after the lights turned on. Someone knocked from behind the mirror. You woke up humming a song that hasn't been written yet. The stars outside shifted to form your name. A door closed behind you, but you never opened it. Your phone rang, and when you answered, it was your own voice speaking. The night grew quiet the moment you said your name aloud. Someone burned a letter with your name on it, yet the smoke spelled it out again. Your phone buzzed with a message you never received, but you still remember what it said. The candle flickered last night, and in the flame, your face wasn't your own. A stranger whispered your deepest fear in a crowd, though you never told a soul. You woke to find your bed neatly made while you were still lying in it. The mirror fogged with words, written in a hand you recognize but don't remember. A voice answered when you said hello, but the line was never connected. A child pointed at you in passing and whispered, "That's the one from my dream." You saw yourself standing across the street, watching you walk away. A diary appeared on your desk, each entry written for tomorrow. You felt a hand guide you away from danger, but no one was near. The clock struck 13 before resetting itself. You waved at your reflection, but it kept waving long after you stopped. Your name was carved into the bark of a tree you've never seen. A knock came from your door, but the sound was from the inside. The stars above shifted, forming letters only you could read. You dreamed of drowning and woke up gasping, your clothes damp. A voice whispered, "Not this time," as you opened your eyes. You caught your shadow smiling when you weren't. The photograph on your wall changed overnight. Now you're not alone in it. You once laughed at a joke no one had told yet. The silence after midnight isn't empty, it's waiting. Someone dreamed of you last night and woke up with your scars. A door appeared where no wall should be, and it knew your name. You woke up humming a song that hasn't been written. The wind carried whispers in a language you almost understood. Someone is sketching your face every time you close your eyes. Your reflection hesitated before moving with you. You once walked into a room and left behind a version of yourself. The ground remembers footsteps you never took. A stranger swore they saw you yesterday, but you were somewhere else. Every shadow has a memory of where it came from. Someone has been keeping count of your forgotten dreams. The silence bent closer when you ignored it. A clock you've never owned still ticks in your ear. The stars above tonight are not the ones from yesterday. Someone sighed in relief when you woke suddenly. Your voice echoed back with words you didn't say. Every tear you've shed has been collected somewhere. The forest falls silent when it remembers your name. A door locked itself when you walked past. The photograph smiled at you when you looked away. You've seen your face in a stranger's eyes before. The night doesn't fall, it waits. You woke up to footprints circling your bed. A shadow moved through you, colder than air. Someone whispered your secret before you ever spoke it. The reflection in the window mouthed a warning. You've stood in the same spot centuries apart. A mirror you've never touched already knows your fingerprints. Someone you've never met remembers your laugh. The silence between heartbeats isn't empty. A child drew your face with details you've never shown. The wind paused when you stopped listening. Someone called your name from inside your thoughts. You once woke with soil under your nails, though you hadn't left home. Every locked door you've touched remembers you. The moon turned its face toward you last night. Someone cried your tears while you slept. The shadows moved even with the lights on. You've passed yourself in a dream and didn't notice. Someone wrote your story in the margins of another book. The stars blinked in rhythm with your heartbeat. A voice hummed your favorite tune before you knew it. The silence grew louder when you tried to ignore it. You saw your reflection look over your shoulder. Someone knocked once from beneath the floorboards. A stranger greeted you with, "Welcome back." You once heard your voice from behind you. The air grew thicker when you nearly remembered something. A candle you blew out flickered back to life. Someone whispered, "Don't open that door." Your laughter echoed back differently than you gave it. The photograph aged without you. You once dreamed of a key, and someone else found the lock. The stars aligned in a pattern, spelling your name. Someone sighed through your lips. You felt watched in an empty room, and something blinked. The ground trembled when you stopped moving. Someone has been writing your name into the dark. You've seen your face in places you've never been. A stranger waved at you from yesterday. The shadows stretched differently when you weren't looking. You've been homesick for a life that doesn't exist. Someone has been following you from the other side of mirrors. The silence leaned closer when you whispered. You once woke twice in one day, but only remember once. A door slammed shut, though no wind blew. The stars blinked twice when you asked a question. Someone else's breath fogged your mirror. The forest rearranged itself when you turned away. You felt a hand rest on your shoulder, and it lingered. Someone drew maps of places you've only dreamed. The shadows whispered when the lights went out. You've forgotten something the world still remembers. A clock ticked backward when you entered the room. Someone sighed when you opened your eyes. Your reflection smirked before you did. The ground echoed footsteps that weren't yours. A child once asked if you remembered them. The wind stilled when you said your name aloud. Someone has been whispering your story in the dark. The night grew heavier when you closed your eyes. Your shadow leaned forward, ahead of you. Someone laughed with your voice. The mirror fogged, though you hadn't breathed. You woke up already standing. A star fell the moment you blinked. Someone dreamed of your death, but you haven't died yet. Your reflection stayed a second too long. The silence held its breath when you entered. You found dirt on your shoes you've never owned. Someone whispered, "Not here." The forest grew quiet, listening for you. You've been spoken of in whispers tonight. The moon flickered like a candle. Someone touched your hair in the dark. A shadow passed under the locked door. You've written words in your sleep that you can't read awake. The stars above blinked in a language of their own. Someone stood where you were standing a moment before. The silence filled with something waiting. You've been seen in places you've never traveled. A knock came from the mirror. Someone has been counting your breaths. The walls leaned closer when you whispered. You felt watched, and the air blinked. The stars brightened when you spoke. Someone sighed when you left the room. Your shadow walked faster than you did. The photograph tilted back after you fixed it. Someone smiled using your face. You've passed through a doorway that didn't exist. The silence answered when you called. Someone drew your face into the fogged glass. The air tasted different when you remembered. A stranger said, "We meet again." The night pulled closer to listen. Someone sighed with your heartbeat. The ground shifted when you looked away. You've seen your name written in shadows. Someone whispered, "Not yet,"